911 emergency.
I need medical, please. My baby not waking up.
Is he awake?
No.
Is he breathing?
No.
On the wall of Christina Curlis's apartment, a heartbeat she'll never hear again, a tiny hand she'll never hold, a face relegated to photographs.
This is what the galaxy looked like on the night he was born, with all the stars and everything. And it's just flying high and twinkling bright. My guiding star, my shining light.
The youngest of 4 boys, Josiah Davis, lived for less than 12 weeks. The flowers on his funeral wreath now far older than the life they memorialize.
So these are his blankets. I haven't washed them. This is his urn. His ashes are in here.
October 4th, 2018.
I love you.
Was a normal day full of smiles, songs, cartoons, and naps. The next morning,
I was at work and his dad called me. And he was like, he's not breathing.
Okay, so we're going to start CPR, okay?
Josiah was rushed by ambulance to Summerlin Hospital.
I just kept clinging on to faith and hope that he was just going to wake up.
He was transferred to UMC, put on life support, and died 2 days later.
There's no greater pain than losing a child. Losing a child is like losing yourself. Like, you lose yourself. Like, it's like you lose the ability to breathe.
9 months after losing her baby, Christina lost her freedom.
I have zero faith in the justice system. It's a joke to me.
Their mother charged with murder. Child Protective Services took Christina and Javon's other 3 children, placing them in their aunt's care.
I was falsely accused. For 4 years, my children were removed from me. I couldn't find work.
Las Vegas attorney Ryan Helmick represented Christina.
The first event that stood out to me was I feel like the rush of judgment by the doctors at the hospital in regard to the fact that they immediately assumed it was abuse, and so they call in the detectives.
Police first questioned Christina and Javon at the hospital.
In the same room where the baby is basically fighting for his life and they're trying to interview her at the same time. I think that was totally improper, totally uncalled for.
Helmick said detectives honed in on this photo of Josiah from the night before he was rushed to the hospital.
And the boppy, asleep with his head down in kind of what they say an awkward position.
That, combined with the Clark County coroner's autopsy findings, is what led to Christina's arrest.
When we saw that it was ruled a homicide, we were shocked beyond belief.
Josiah was born with sickle cell trait, which according to the CDC affects 1 in 12 Black Americans. The arrows in this magnified slide are pointing to sickled cells in Josiah's blood. People with sickle cell trait typically don't experience symptoms, but in rare cases, they can develop complications of the life-threatening disease. The autopsy noted sickle cell trait, but also found bleeding in the brain, spinal cord, and behind the eyes, which can be symptoms of shaken baby syndrome. Josiah's death was ruled a homicide due to blunt force head and neck trauma.
The first thing they do is they zero in on child abuse. That's the first thing they do, is just zero in on child abuse without even doing further research, without even considering other options.
Ryan Helmick did that research.
A much deeper dive into this baby's death than the Clark County Coroner's Office ever did.
So this is a photo from the state's autopsy.
Pediatric forensic pathology expert Dr. Evan Matches.
What's really interesting and important to this case is this piece of evidence.
The same evidence the coroner's office had.
Outlined in here is a very enlarged, dilated, and dead blood vessel, which died while Josiah was still alive and ruptured, resulting in this bleeding. It's died because it's fully clotted off with sickled cells.
The CDC says sickled cells become hard and sticky and they get stuck in small blood vessels.
Red blood cells, and that's what we're looking at, should be shaped like a double-sided disc. They usually have 2 dimples in the middle. And his are like ellipses, like sickles. You don't expect most sickle cell trait people to develop sickling, but he has. And it's widespread.
How did the coroner not see this? His sickle cell was everywhere in all his blood slides.
13 Investigates tried to ask that of Dr. Jennifer Corneal, who conducted Josiah's autopsy. She has since left the Clark County Coroner's Office. Via email, she said she had no comment. Dr. Matches found evidence of sickling throughout Josiah's entire body, concluding the baby died of natural causes.
Come on up, Miss Carlos.
The state's case came to a halt last December.
Your Honor, based on further investigation, the state does not believe it can prove the elements of the criminal charges beyond a reasonable doubt. Therefore, the state is voluntarily dismissing this case.
But the dismissal was without prejudice.
The medical aspect of this case is not going to change, period, because that's what it is. If it's without prejudice, she has this gray cloud that's still going to hang over her head for the rest of her life, because we don't know if this charge will ever come back.
I don't make the charging decisions. The state gets to decide when and how they prosecute cases. You've obtained a pretty miraculous result already with them agreeing to dismiss it voluntarily.
They tried one more time at a hearing in February of this year. The DA wouldn't budge,
All I will say is that the state has done exactly what it should do.
and neither would the judge.
While I understand where you're coming from and I do feel for you guys, there's just nothing that allows me to grant this motion, and so it is denied.
And they tried so hard to break me. The justice system tried so hard to break me.